All right, what's up, Mr. Bare Naked Willie? How are you? Or shall I say, Mr. Bare Naked Witty? Insider joke. What's happening,
Oh,
brother?
Dave, your tires are rolling today. They are fresh and cruising down the road, aren't they?
Oh man, do I have fresh tires? What a morning it's been. But yep, nope, they are crisp and fresh, and they go straight as well, which is wonderful.
How about that? So BS Friday Live, we are back on the YouTube, on the Facebook, on the Twitter, on the Twitch, and on the LinkedIn.
We are on the LinkedIn. So if you're not subscribed to us, well, you should be. You need to follow all the videos we're doing on our YouTube channel. We are growing, and we are growing fast. We're here to build it better. We're here to have the best and the brightest on our show that are building it better. And not only are they building it better, but they're teaching us better. This is going to be a great conversation we have lined up for you today. I'm super excited about it.
I'm always excited about this particular topic. So our existing buildings are everywhere, and they're built in all different typologies. The elevation changes, the soil changes, the uses change. And what can change is their comfort, health, and efficiency, thanks to our friends at PHIUS.
Absolutely. So, today's a really interesting topic, Mark, because we definitely have a lot more existing buildings and homes than we have new construction happening across this country. And it is a big issue to contend with on how do we make safer, healthier, more affordable, energy efficient, low cost of living to make it better for everybody at every wage bracket to be able to live in a home and afford a home.
Yep, and I'm telling you, the modeling teams and the performance path and the prescriptive path is an incredible way to get there. This is tried and true. No more surprises at the end of the month of what it's going to take to deliver. No more surprises in dangerous conditions, because this electrification and the path, it delivers it up front. And
Yeah.
man, if this team isn't the smartest team out there.
Here's the thing, Mark. This is one of those shows where we're probably not going to have to do a whole lot of talking. So I purposely went out last night knowing that these guests are going to just bring it, and I'm just going to sit back, enjoy my margarita hangover, and then just let it happen. That's what I'm going to do.
My guess is you don't have a hangover, but it's a fun story. So, Dave, Retrofit Summit, right?
Yep.
The 21st and the 23rd. Who's kicking us off here today? Is this Miss Jennifer?
Ooh, well, we have Miss Jennifer down there, and then we have some Canadians with us as well.
All right, let's start with a surprise.
Oh, let's bring on Jennifer first. Ladies first.
Oh my goodness. I can neither deny nor confirm the margarita story.
Yeah?
Oh, well, can we at least find out if it's on the rocks or if it's blended?
Hey, listen, you got to be in it to win it, Mark. Unless you're here, we can't reveal all the details.
Yeah.
Wow, let's keep it official, like a referee with a whistle. How about that?
Oh, well, listen, it's awesome to be here. You know how I love these shows on PHIUS and how we can just all build it better. And I really just want to jump right into it. There's so many headlines out there right now of energy bills, right? Especially in Katrin's hometown or home country in Germany, people who just can't afford to pay their rent, pay their electricity bill, pay their heating and cooling bills. And this show is going to have a direct impact. This conversation, this summit is going to have a direct impact on how we take our existing building stock to the next level.
Amen to that. Huge impact. Dave, real quick, are you getting feedback?
I am. It's coming from Jen. Yeah, for sure. You can hear her mics coming through.
Okay.
So something's going on there. I am. Mark, you're not hearing things, and I guess I didn't drink too much. I'm picking up on it as well. So, all right. So Jennifer in the house, per social media request. Everybody out there want more Jen, so we got that happening. What else we got going on, Mark?
Well, I think we have a surprise intro from one of our friends, so I'm ready to jump into it when you.
Oh, we got a surprise. I like this person. He's one of my favorite. Just saying, Mark. I'm just saying.
Well, you
What's
guys
up,
are also
Sean?
my
Say no more.
favorites as well. Good morning. How are you? Again, I'm glad to hear that last night's fun has kind of continued to this morning's frustrations, but you're smiling and you're with it. So, as you said, we'll let the speaker drive the show because, again, on the heels of International Women's Day, and again, praise to all the women that help the construction industry out. We're so glad to have you, and we need more of you because we need to scale. And so it is great to have a leader on today's episode talking about retrofits. And so we quickly just look at her extensive and amazing career. So she decided to journey over to the land of the United States and create a home. And of course, she had to use her background knowledge. And so she created herself a passive house and then started teaching the North America about this amazing type of system. And we are reaping the rewards. And so now it's gone from new builds into retrofits. And here we are on the heels of the Retrofit Summit. Here we have an amazing individual. So someone who has been teaching us, presenting, writing magazines, been involved in kind of every aspect of getting the information about Passive House out to the market. She has been there kicking, screaming, dragging, pulling, pushing, doing everything that she could possibly do to ensure that we could learn how to build better buildings, making them more comfortable, healthy, and energy efficient. And so it is a great honor to always see Katrin Klingenberg on any show, because I'm also going to sit back and listen, put my ears on, and absorb all the amazing information that she has to provide. So Katrin, welcome to the show, and look forward to hearing more about the upcoming summit.
What's up, Katrin?
Hi, everybody.
We got Katrin with us. I love it. Thanks for coming back on the show with us. It's always an honor to have you.
Well, thank you guys for a really fun intro. Thank you, Sean. I really hope that the kicking and screaming days are over and that we really have moved this all together as a community into mainstream by now, at least for new construction, right?
Yeah.
So it's time to tackle retrofit because, as Mark said so appropriately, there are so many more projects that need that than new construction. So.
Well, there is. I mean, we got all kinds of old buildings everywhere, whether you live in the suburbs or in the city and the urban environments, they're just everywhere. And there's a need for this all over the place. I think what I'm fascinated about is, the way you pivot from, the education, passive house, building your own passive house, all of this. And now you're brave enough to take on the retrofit market as well, and start a whole nother education and, training program that's going to allow that to happen across not only probably the United States, but around the world.
Well, hopefully, and it's a giant challenge. And as Jen said earlier, like it's not only over here. I think the Europeans really started to feel it firsthand when the war in Ukraine started last year, and it's not just in Germany, like UK. Like it seems like the energy shortage is being felt even more crassly in terms of people really not being able to pay for their energy bills and energy prices shot up like crazy. So that could easily happen over here too. And we need to prepare for that. Like if it's only even resilience that we're concerned about, but there are so many other good reasons for retrofits as well, of course.
Yeah. You brought up a good point, and I just want to touch on this because Jennifer and I, when we were in Switzerland recently, and then we also have some friends that are from Germany, and we were on the phone. One of them recently just had a baby, and they were very concerned, like the oil, being able to afford oil or even having enough for heating this year. And that's kind of what you're alluding to. That's a real concern and a real problem in some countries more than others, but it could easily happen here as well.
Oh, absolutely. And see, so the interesting part was I was actually in Germany exactly on the day that it happened. And it was really quite shocking. and then also seeing the aftermath of it. So the entire European Union jumped into electrification because like it came out of nowhere. They're like, oh my God, like we fell asleep at the wheel. We should have focused on energy efficiency much sooner. We thought we had this whole like climate change thing under control by just reducing carbon emissions, but like they forgot about the energy efficiency and retrofitting existing buildings. So all of a sudden everybody's like, let's go and let's give everybody a heat pump, and then they realize, oh, all these buildings are quite crappy and the loads that they have to replace with the heat pumps are just like insane. So big light bulb went off, and now all of a sudden everybody is totally into retrofit and bringing loads down to essentially basically passive levels. Like, let's reduce the loads. And it's not only that, because if you want to electrify everything, like everybody is into that right now with electric vehicles and everything, you plug that into the grid on top of like heat pumpify everything, you blow up the grid. Like our grid doesn't have enough capacity. So
yeah, wasn't it Katrin, wasn't it Massachusetts that did this study that to electrify they would need to bring in 3 times the amount of current power that's available?
Yeah, it doesn't work. It won't work. So efficiency really is the baseline, the cornerstone for the new renewable grid, and that means we need to tackle our existing building stock head on.
So if we can separate the residential buildings from the commercial buildings, and just put a flag out there, should we, if we're, sometimes people like to choose, should we do this first? Should we do this first? And I say do both, but for fun, should we do commercial buildings first because of their volume and the amount of people it impacts?
No. I'm not entirely sure I'm really qualified to talk about this. So the RMI got a follow-up grant from the Department of Energy to tackle industrialized retrofits, right? And the main focus is on residential, for one, because we have a ton of them. And really, if you look at the existing building stock and what the biggest kind of like chunk of that stock is that causes us trouble, really, it's the single family homes. And those are the most difficult ones. We're not saying that that's where you necessarily should start retrofitting everything. So there are better and lower hanging fruits, like, for example, multifamily buildings that like are more repetitive, like you can develop more like industrialized retrofit solutions for that and get more done in a shorter amount of time. So I think for the single family building stock, we will need a little bit more time to come up with really good and effective measures, because otherwise each single family home is like essentially a custom project. And that's what people in Europe are starting to realize now too. As you're tackling this, not everybody has like 100K lying around to like do the whole building up to like passive building standards. So what we need to develop is basically like a design protocol, a commissioning protocol that helps people to do this over time and do it over time in a smart way. Because if people are just pushed towards like doing the easy stuff first, the building performance standards, you might have heard about those. Like various cities are putting standards in place and require existing buildings to reduce energy consumption by X over a certain period of time. But the problem with that is like they're saying like, okay, first step is like just 20%. So everybody jumps on the like low hanging fruit and they don't think about it holistically. So they close doors by doing the wrong thing first, basically. And that doesn't help us. We need to think about this. We need to have like design guidance for designers, for builders, and for homeowners to like really make this economically the most feasible, because it's going to be expensive. Like there's no way around it.
And with that starting point, do we start with the assessment of what the building is telling us, right? Measure
exactly
what's
right.
going on and what's most broken at this point, right?
Yep.
The life cycle of the roof and the window might already be shot, but your structure might have issues as well.
Yeah, that's right. But like, so you mentioned the window, right? Somebody might have just like replaced all their windows with like an affordable, whatever, vinyl window, double pane, okay. But I mean, there's no point in like ripping that thing out. So there's a lifespan to that window and there's embodied carbon in it. So we want to like let that sit in the building until like that life cycle is over and then replace it with a really good window. But so that means that we have to plan for that over time. Often people think like, oh, like great, I'm gonna like replace my furnace first. But that's really the wrong way to go about this, because the furnace, as you're like embarking on improving your envelope, is always going to be just fine, unless it, of course, is crapping out on you. It's like, okay, like furnace is dead, then you have to do something right away. And then there are different strategies. But so generally, first order of business is look at what still has like lifespan in it, plan for it, and then like take the appropriate steps to upgrade your envelope, bring your loads down significantly, and then it's time to get a really nice heat pump, because then your building is actually comfortable. So it's not rocket science.
Well, so all right, so it's not rocket science, but if you don't know, you don't know.
And you do the wrong things. That's
right.
Exactly right.
And you do the wrong thing. So, this is what's so great about the show and trying to understand, there is such a need for this. Pretty much every house in my neighborhood probably needs a retrofit. And then the neighborhood down there and the neighborhood over there and probably the neighborhood where you live as well all need retrofits. So how do we get this out there on such a mass scale that it's common for people to have these conversations to the point where they're sitting there saying, I bet my energy was less than yours this week, Katrin. Right? That's what we want people to do, I'll buy beers tonight. I got an extra few bucks in my pocket, So that's kind of the way this needs to work, and do you see it growing organically like that?
Well, people want to do the right thing. We get inquiries all the time. The problem is that really there are no ready-made solutions out there. And also, like, even the incentives, there are not a lot of incentives, but it's really all quite opaque. So we as professionals, we really need to kind of like chart out the path and help people how to do it, where to start, guide them through it easily, and like kind of like take the fear out of the whole process. Because who would not want to have like a super comfortable, healthy, affordable home? Like, I mean, the benefits at the end of that journey like are just immense. The resiliency, not to mention, like we will have more and more like extreme climate events. So that's exactly what the summit is about. Like we want to learn on day one from our fantastic, like, super consultants who, like, by all means are some of the most experienced out there, and that qualified them to tackle retrofit, which initially, like, for the first projects was a challenge because they found all these difficulties. Like, how in the hell are you going to plan for a continuous airtight layer or a continuous, like, insulation layer if you only can go to the inside because you have a historic project or something, right? So they kind of like tackled all these like really difficult issues, and we want to learn from that. And then on like the second day of the summit, which like is interrupted by the Passive House Accelerator talking about industrialized solutions that are coming out of the DOE project right now, which is also super exciting, but probably not ready and accessible for most people. But then on day 3, we're going to roll out our rethought retrofit framework that will help people to get through the process, and that rethought retrofit process and framework actually now moves a bit away from the performance idea that we have been fronting for all new construction, which is still the right path to take. We're looking at it more like from a what is the most important thing here? The most important thing on this massive scale of retrofit is making sure that we're conscious about embodied carbon, because like if we retrofitted everything to the original passive targets, it would take a whole bunch of material, and we have to do it in such a short amount of time, we would kick the planet in the butt. We can't do that. So that means we have to back out a little bit back away from our expectations and essentially like find a new kind of like a design criterion. And what is the next important one? That is resilience. So we don't want to give back on comfort, on affordability, like low energy bills, all that good stuff. So we set a framework of like, now we're going to look at a building, like how much insulation do you need to maintain resilience when like the power goes out, because we talked about it, right? Like everybody electrifies, the grid will become somewhat like fragile. So, so super excited. We got really nice new framework. Basically, you design around like keeping your building resilient, number one, B, to minimize your carbon emissions, operational plus embodied. Super cool stuff.
I love it.
I mean, it seems so simple when you talk about it, right? It seems so formulaic, and I know it's not. I know it's highly complicated. But when you think about the summit and you think about the people who are coming, like you definitely have your tribe, you have your community. There are passive house enthusiasts out there and people who truly believe, and they'll all be attending this summit. But when you think about your disciples and how you really amplify this message and who should actually be coming to the summit and who needs to hear this and who needs to learn so that they can then also amplify with their own tribes? Is it government, local officials, city officials, educators? Like, where do we start? How do we get these people involved?
Well, that's exactly right. So I was chatting with Dave before you guys all came on, and big surprise. This is like we've had the most interest and the most people signed up way ahead of like an online event. You guys probably all know this, like online events, people sign up like 5 minutes before sometimes. Yeah. So, but no, not this time. All of a sudden, like we have like more than normal registrations. And we also expected like our tribe to show up, because like those are the people who are interested and who want to learn. And so all of a sudden we find that a whole bunch of people from outside are showing up, and most notably government and policy makers, because there's a huge need for exactly what we're talking about, like some really solid kind of like certification or like a quality assurance path that government can hang their hat on so that they can attach incentives to it. Without incentives, nobody's going to do it. So we have a surprise kind of opener on our second day. I can't really talk about it yet, but
come on.
No, I can't, because it hasn't gone through the official process yet. But mystery guest, in all likelihood, will be there, which is big. And so very excited about that one. There's interest from high up. That's all I can say right now. And they are really waiting for that tool to be able to roll it out as fast and as soon as possible. Because of course government is aware, like, climate events getting more and more severe. So especially that resilience angle, they are super interested in.
Wow, I can definitely respect, wanting to make sure everything's put in order before you put something out there. And I love the fact that you're teasing us at the moment. So that's perfect. We have something to look forward to, is what I just heard.
That's right. Mystery guest.
Mystery. Awesome. Love it. Love it. So Jen, that was a great question. Sean, you're kind of hanging out down there on the bottom of all of us. I feel almost we got a Brady Bunch here in just in a little bit, right?
I love what we're happening in retrofits. Like we currently have one going on underway within clay construction, and the scale of being able to do this, like I look at, this is one house in a block of hundreds that I now with our team need to start cracking on the doorknobs and be like, hey, we've done on this house, we can do the rest of the street. And that's just part of the story of all of our efforts. And I mean, Katrin, I love listening to you because you do say this, the keyword so eloquently. And, it like, as Jen said too, like it sounds so easy, and it isn't, because it's a bit of a complex kind of review of what you need to do, but at least you sparked interest in all of us to be able to do this. And again, when I've started putting on the sweaters and putting on, the better windows, realizing that it's not just about some of those key passive components. It is about, what type of insulation am I putting on, and being, fully aware about the operating carbon and the embodied carbon now is really key. And again, I look forward to hearing about more about the speakers and the presentations and the discussions that occur with this. And I appreciate having a mystery speaker. Now, one thing that we love on this show is talking about offsite construction. And so, is there any players that you're seeing in the offsite world that are coming to the US and providing offsite panelized solutions? Like we kind of look at the energy sprung method as the kind of term of panelized retrofits. Is there any key players that you're happy to maybe promote or talk about, or what they're kind of doing to help take this to a bigger scale?
Well, the one that I've been following pretty closely, probably also because they have been part of the passive community for a really long time, right from the beginning, has been Dextol, coming out of the Intus family. I'm impressed by how quickly they really took up this concept and went out there and kind of reproduced the success that they had in their window world, with fully integrated panels. And they're not just doing passive projects. It was this is really it's a highly insulated, super performing panel. The passive certification ideally is kind of really just training wheels, right? To kind of get our mindset for this to become mainstream. And they're already showing that even somebody who doesn't go through the whole passive kind of training wheel step, they just call up Dextol and they get these awesome panels, and you don't even have to argue or talk about it anymore. It just becomes kind of regular construction, and that really always was the purpose. So I'm impressed by them, and of course there are others like Blueprint Robotics, Go Logic. People are working on all different ends to further that, and it's impressive. People are in it with gusto, and that's fantastic.
They really are. This year, Sean was there, Jen, Mark, at the International Builder Show. I don't know if you had the honor of going to the show, but we were actually able to get on stage and demonstrate, panelized construction with, B Public Prefab. We were doing a demo on the main stage this year, not a little back room, which was great. And we were able to showcase Mercer Mass Timber's products as well. And this was the first time, I think, in the history of the International Builder Show that anybody's been on the main stage next to all the site builders saying, well, here's another solution. Not the only solution, but another solution, another tool in the tool bag. Sean don't need a big tool bag to pull these out, but another tool. And so when you say that, new people are watching, listening, attending, unexpectedly showing up and learning about this stuff, we saw it firsthand this year when they asked us to do that. And Mark was generous enough to help us set all that up. And I have to tell you, it's exciting to hear that from your end as well, because you live and breathe, passive house every day. I live and breathe passive house, offsite construction, industrialized, right? The whole thing. So I'm glad there's some synergies happening along the way.
I want to echo what Dave said. This was so simple, Katrin. So on Monday before the IBS conference starts, Dave's running through and checking the audio and setting everything up so that the rest of the week goes. And we were grabbed by our friends at Bay Public and Mercer, and literally it was Dave and I standing next to each other, and they said, put together this assembly. We hadn't had any training with them or nothing. It came off of the skids, right, as it would, and we popped in the floor, the walls, the roof, and the fasteners, and they said, that's it, it's perfect. And it stayed for the whole show, and then, of course, Tuesday, Wednesday, and so on. And Thursday, it was on the grand stage, but it was all assembled right then. It's a solution that happens to include offsite, that happens to include passive house, but for the installers, it's just a solution. So it's an easy uptake. They're not thinking, because all that engineering, all that science, all that planning already took care of it.
Yes.
Yeah, very much so.
And retrofits is kind of an interesting situation for construction, because we're looking at recladding, and most of our buildings, if we're able to take away that either or move away from either the historical part or the architectural and look at recladding it, the technology involved is quite interesting, where we're 3D scanning buildings, putting it through models and figuring, okay, how could we, slap the sweater on with all of the air barrier details, with the high performance windows, and how could we just provide these, really fast ways of just reskinning our buildings. And so I hope that we're able to attract different parts of smart people to our industry, where we need that technology, need those innovations, and need that kind of thought process of like, here is a problem that we need to do and the scale we need to do it, and how can we find faster ways of doing it. And so hopefully people will see not only the benefits of improving our buildings, but see how they want to be part of this situation that we need scale, and we need people to be involved. And it's great that you're going to see the policy involved. And again, I think we're starting to see that we're getting past the chasm of the scale of high performance, when you have policymakers that want to throw, carrots and sticks at the process and try to, get this issue resolved and fixed. And so it's going to be a great week coming up.
It is. It definitely is. Funny, like all of a sudden we mentioned the NAHB and IBS, and look who's popping up in the comments there. Pure coincidence. Jennifer is our secret weapon, Greg says. Yeah. And he says, Dave and Mark, great panel today. No easy answers. Well, Greg, I think Katrin's making them easy now. She did all the hard work for us. We got a comment here. I'll read. You guys know Jonathan Finewood, do you not? Investors are getting property condition assessments, PCAs, every time they buy a building, multifamily, commercial, industrial. What's in this PCA is remaining useful life on all major building components. Targeting the lenders to make the investors to make staged pH improvements is a dream of mine. Mm-hmm. All right, so here's where I go with this. You guys are all nodding your head, and I'm sitting there going, I have no idea what the heck he's talking about. And I'm sure the rest of the audience doesn't either. So let's talk about this a little bit and help us understand.
Let's start with a coffee on a Saturday morning with Rob Hoskin, right? Yeah. And go visit a project with him, Dave. Take the twins, take your son, take Jennifer, take your whole neighborhood. When they review a building, they're showing you everything, right? The complete analysis using their measurement tools. And then that's bringing it forward. Like whenever Jonathan answers a conversation, he's going to take it to where we need to be. And Rob does the same thing. This measurement and this review of our building is something that's missing in the real estate world altogether. But it's how the minds of the folks from PHIUS and the third party experts, it's how they work. And we hope that the world of appraisers and banking adopt that soon, because all of this has consequences if it's not included. And that's this huge monthly struggle of operational costs, of operational wasted energy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like there's a significant push-pull required here. So you have the demand. You need to generate the demand from the investors, the lenders, the people who actually want it, and it makes financial sense. But Katrin, it would be great to kind of go back to your background as an architect and as an engineer, and kind of walk us through, what inspired you to do that, and then what inspired you to level up, because not only do we need the demand, we need, massive amounts of people to understand and adopt, this activity. And then we need the architects and engineers to help us get there. Do they know how to do it?
Yeah, well, that's the great news. So when we set out to do that, those were exactly the questions that we asked ourselves. Like, how can we facilitate this to go and be incorporated into the mainstream? So we started with demonstration projects. Then we started teaching the designers, the CPHCs, certified consultants who can do energy modeling, who can do the initial assessment. Then we realized, now we have trained a whole bunch of like architects and energy modelers who can do this kind of stuff. Now we need the builders. So we started a builders training program. After the builders training program, we're like, okay, now we have those major like players to get this done and to simplify and to kind of put this into practice. We realized like that's the commissioning process, the quality assurance, because there was a big spread between like when you have an uninsured, quality assured project. Doesn't matter how well the design is, or like so like there used to be like a wide gap between the actual performance of the building and what was projected, right? So we filled that gap and we created a training program for specialized verifiers and verifiers like Rob Hoskin is fantastic. So we got the entire supply chain figured out. So now during that Retrofit Summit, we're going to talk about specifically now, we're kind of like diving into that specific difficulty and challenge. So our certification process for new buildings works very well, but for existing buildings, as we already discussed, there's a different kind of like process. There are different problems in addition to new construction. So new buildings also have sometimes deficiencies like lead or what have you, asbestos. That needs to be remedied first. So this entire kind of like commissioning process and the initial assessment, and then also the kind of like, as we talked about before, the kind of phasing of the different upgrade steps. That is really important. So the whole commissioning process, that is one of the key items that we're developing and designing for this particular retrofit standard that we're coming out with and that we're going to soft launch at the end of the summit. And that's going to be key. And part of that is also like translating the complexities that we're talking about and that we know as architects and engineers into like easy to follow steps. Once we have that, I think we're ready to really roll this out like on a large scale. And on top of that, we have DOE and the RMI Advanced Building Collaborative working on really pushing the robotics and the offset construction and all that good stuff. So once that all comes together, I think we're there.
That's, and that's exactly what we need. Mark, I saw you put some comments in there, right? Bringing the government together with the private sector. How do we all hold hands and work together collectively and collaboratively to really drive change? And I think that's the key to it, Katrin. I don't think we can do it just as individuals. We really do need to get the government on board. And I don't mean on board in a way to where they're dictating how it's done, but it's a solution that is in the best of everybody's interest to make it happen, because some things you can put in place and mandate and all of a sudden it's too expensive for anybody to do and it causes a bigger problem. And I think it's super important that you're working with, the folks in the government and that's a big deal.
Well, and there's a lot of money needed to catalyze that development, right? The industrialized kind of panel manufacturing or HVAC pods or even robotics in construction, that is like still by all means in its infancy. And it takes a lot of upfront investment to build these factories, to figure out all the technology that goes into it, to figure out like how these complex systems work together, to streamline and to create like an efficient delivery system. And without like massive amounts of money from the government, like the DOE, the ABCC is funded, I think, by like first round 10 million, and I think there's a second round now, and I lost track of however many more millions. So there's a lot of money in it, and hopefully it will be able to spark this new segment, right?
Yeah, I mean, but it takes more than money. I mean, it really takes the next generation to come into this space full on embracing it, not needing to be convinced or taught or, pushed into it, but truly walking into the space, doing this because it's the right thing to do. It's better for so many reasons. So yes, you need the money and you need the educators, but then you need our next generation to really come in, embrace it, and just take it off, like just make it happen.
No, on that note, this is really cool what we're seeing in the office here. Like we have so many young, talented people, and they're absolutely gung ho. We're bringing on a whole bunch of new staff, like right out of school. These DOE programs like Solar Decathlon, they've made a big difference in the education of young folks. And interestingly enough, we have the most candidates right now that we're looking at to hire a female, and they're all in building science and engineering and energy modeling right out of school. And they're super kick ass. So I'm completely psyched.
Well, they have found the right mentor, that is for sure.
I'm not surprised by this at all. I mean, coming off the heels of the PHIUS conference, right, in October, there was an education track led by recent high school graduates, local teachers from the state that we all know and love, and knocking on our door. Right, we're gonna blink, and that conference is gonna hit in Houston, and I'm telling you, the examples of the uptake that's happening in our industry in each of those classrooms, like people are waiting outside of the door before the presentations go, and the every room was packed. You go into the main facility, there was hundreds of people there, and I truly knew, like, what, a tenth of them. Like, so many incredible faces. You could learn from every single one of these fine examples. Great leadership.
So wait a minute, Mark. So you're in a room full of people interested in passive house and retrofits and energy, and you only knew 10%?
Dave, I remarked, I was standing next to Zach and Michael, and I said, if we collectively add up all the people we know, we're maybe going to hit 10%. That is the amount of fresh faces that are coming in there. And, I don't know where they're coming from. It shows the work that PHIUS is doing is on a lightning path. The last 3 years have been electric. And I think the team really, they do so much work that we don't even know, but you see it by these fresh faces.
Right.
And these examples on the East Coast are going to fly into Michigan and Ohio, and they're going to get everywhere. It's not stopping, folks. Get in there early.
Yeah. It's funny you said that. And I'm going to use another scenario where we felt the same thing at the Building Systems Council Summit this past year. Jen's, bobbing her head up and down in agreement. When we asked how many new members were here, it was the same thing, Mark. It was like 90% of the room raised their hand. It really was. And I was the master of ceremonies, and I'm standing up there and I almost fell over. It's like, oh my goodness, which is great as long as the members and the people that believe in it were also there, which they were. So it was kind of fun. It was kind of fun to see that. So that's great. And I think this is something that we need to carry on collectively. And I wish we could get, more people to spread the word. And in fact, anybody that's even listening to this and watching this, it's as simple as hitting that like and share button and, just trying to do something better, do something different, and getting the word out there and inviting other people to share and like. Social media is so powerful. That's why it's on the floor of Congress all the time under debate. That's why TikTok is under debate in Congress now, with everything. It's that powerful. And if we as a society learned how to use it, for the good, just like with this, we could really change things overnight. That's my stump speech for when I run for Secretary of Housing one day.
Nice.
I love it. I love it. And can we show a couple of things on the website that people can look forward to with the summit, and talk a minute about like deep energy retrofits and everything else? Like, what are we really talking about here, and what can people look forward to? And I'll flash also down below, you can find the website to find more information, but basically it's an online event happening March 21st and 23rd, and PHIUS.org/retrofit-summit
You can say
is
it.
where people can learn more.
Love it. All right. So walk us through what we're looking at here, Katrin. So we obviously have the main page, PHIUS Retrofit Summit 2023, and it's a website. So I got the basics already. Tell us what we can learn on your site.
Yeah, so there's Graham, right? You can see him, like our chief scientist. He is very much like excited about what is coming together now. This has been a long time coming. It's a new standard, again, as we talked about, like guidance that makes it easy, breaks it down, brings it to the people, to the designers, facilitates. It tackles massive embodied carbon requirements, trying to reduce those and not to lose, at the same time, not losing resilience quite for our buildings and our benefits of comfort. We also tackle existing deficiencies with that new standard. We are also adding a fortified home component to it, because with extreme weather events, we also have to think about those. Like, as we're renewing our buildings to modern standards of comfort, affordability, resilience, we also want to make them more resilient against potential damage from those events. So a couple of these projects here that you're seeing, again, we will have, like, the first day, we will walk through examples that some of our most advanced consultants have been leading, the lessons that they have learned from those projects, what the main difficulties are once you tackle retrofit. We will have examples from all different kinds of building stock. We will start with a single family home that is trying to get to zero and have, like, a very small carbon footprint. Like, we all want to do the right thing for the planet, right? We will have small commercial, larger commercial, historic challenges. And there will even be an example about, like, how to tackle an entire neighborhood, how to think about that one. So these leaders in our community, I'm super excited to hear what they have to say. And then on the second day, Al Mitchell and Graham Wright, they are the kind of like brains behind the new standard. Yeah, brainiacs, really, genius. And very excited to see their light in the day. Like, is that how you say it? I don't know. Anyway, for them to come out and soft launch the stuff that they have been working on so diligently over the last couple of weeks. Yeah, and here are, like, esteemed panelists for the first day.
Sure.
All super experienced. You can see their bios on the website and check it out for yourself.
They're all incredible speakers, and Graham is a must watch. If you ever get a chance to meet him, just sit there and take notes. Don't stop him. Just literally take notes. He'll fill you up. Al brings such life to the topic. These topics aren't easy to digest, and boy, does he bring the passion. You follow it by James. James could go on for 3 days, and then you ask him to repeat it, and he'll repeat it. He's that on it. We all know Tom and these other folks. James Hartford, my gosh, the type of projects James does are dream projects. So what that means is, if you've ever dreamt of doing an incredible project, just look at what River Architects does and say, I'm going to do that too. Yeah. Because that example is set, and you can literally show those examples to your potential clients, and they're going to jump on board just because of those examples. They have transformed the cider and brewery industry alone by the work they've done. Like, truly
beautiful.
Yeah, and beautiful, right? Like, just start there. Beautiful spaces from their office alone. Their office is a fine example of what to deliver.
Yeah, exactly.
We never had our Halloween party there, so here's a reminder, James. We need our Halloween party up in the Hudson Valley.
I'll be there for that one too. No, it's so beautiful out there. It's just like crazy.
Yeah, it is. Hudson Valley is really beautiful, especially during the fall and spring. You know, just the leaf peeping season is unreal. And if you don't have a hotel already, then you better book one if you're planning on going to check it out. 'Cause they book up fast.
You know what? We can't go to the Hudson Valley, guys, for Halloween because we're all going to be in Houston.
I know.
Oh, no. Well, okay. But you have 3 days in between, it's just like.
Yeah.
That's a long walk.
But on the Houston topic, like the next PHIUS Con, where I'm so thrilled about that one. For one, we're tackling finally the hot and humid climates, right? The facility is outrageous. It's fantastic. And we have so many great sessions planned for you. It's like, I think that will be a whole other kind of like exciting event that we need to bring the southern half of the country into this discussion, right? Like, so we've been huddling in the cold climates mostly because that's where it's a slam dunk, but it works just as well in the hot climates. But like now we need to kind of like start to communicate that and push that out there.
Houston, we have a solution.
Exactly.
Yeah. That was Andrew Sealy was putting that up. I had it. He's always good for a brainiac comment, and it's always good for Mark Whitty to come up with a way to spin it. Love it. That's Mark's new last name. Titled by Katrin to call it Mark Whitty because he is a witty. He's a witty guy. He'll whittle you down with his wit.
Wow.
No, you're taking it over the
top. We're all having fun here, and for more fun, get ready for that surprise. That surprise is March 21st through the 23rd. There's a guest speaker. Definitely, everyone, please share, tag PHIUS, introduce your community to this Retrofit Summit. It's on your shoulders to introduce this to other people so you could have fun in these wonderful buildings as well.
Yeah, love it. So, Katrin, did we miss anything? Because that's a wrap for today's show, but we always give our guests that last opportunity to say, Dave, Mark, you missed the mark. No pun intended there. Do you have anything you wanna leave? Man, I'm witty today.
Man, no, this is like way too much fun. Like it was right on the money. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and I can't wait. Like let's do it. Get to it.
All right. Well, listen, everybody, we showed you the website. I'll put it up there one last time. So make sure you where's it at? There it is. Make sure you get there and you click this top button here right there. It says register. You have to register. Just register. I don't know what you're waiting for. I don't even know why you're watching the show anymore. You should have left by now, and you should have clicked that button and registered. And also, while you're leaving the show, please go to our YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button and ring that bell. Katrin, Sean, Jen, Mark, always a pleasure.
Awesome.
All right, everybody. We will see you Monday. Have an awesome, awesome weekend. Enjoy your family. And let's continue to build it better. The rest of you just hang tight. We'll come back to you after the show. Bye now.
Thank you.